All right, hello. Here's my personal stats tracker app again. I've updated a lot of functionality, but it's not the focus of this video. My focus is on using Firebase, what I learned about that. So you can save stats here, save it to the Firestore, and then grab it over here on the C stats page. You can see here it's attached to a timestamp. Uh, but yeah, that's all you need to see from my app. It also has a login page. And then it uses the auth emulator to verify you logged in. And then it actually goes to the enter stats. Um, so you can add the user in here. And then you can also just clear the data if you wanted to or restart from scratch. It's all my requests I've made so far while using the emulator. Let's create, update, delete, second CRUD database. Firebase also has real-time database, but from what I've read, most of the people want to use Firestore, or you can use storage if you just have stuff to save. But I have a list of stats, so I use Firestore. Um, and let's go over to my code. Main.dart. Every time you're going to initialize Firebase in the app, you have to first ensure that your Flutter widgets are initialized. Um, If you want to use Firebase, just the local emulator suite and not actually make a Firebase project, because if production's not your goal, like me, I'm just making an app and just learning and just adding functionality right now. I'm not actually trying to push this to production yet. So then you have to declare all of these are the Firebase options. When you have an actual Firebase project, you won't need to worry about this, and you can just do call Firebase initialize app parentheses. That's it. Uh, then you need to also make sure when you're using emulators, you point them to the right hosts, and call them over. So they're in line with your Flutter app. Otherwise, again, the app won't work. And then down over here, Stream Builder user. So it checks first to see if there's actually a user logged in. If so, it will call this offstate function. Um, Builder and snapshot is basically your query. And the snapshot has data. Then you'll go to the home screen. Otherwise, it just goes straight to the login page, which you would see, but I don't have time to run through my whole app functionality. Um, in Flutter, like whenever you're organizing code and you're using Firebase functions, I like to put it in a services folder from what I've seen. So I did that. The next part about Flutter is that if you don't start off like that and you need to change it, you can easily put them in and it will refactor all your imports. So if you're importing into and import it to like every other file, like they'll automatically do that for you. It'll change it to your path. So yeah, I need to go do it to every single one. But yeah, you call the main Firebase off Dart. You can make functions off using your Firebase off Dart functions. Um, Make an instance, and then you can use all of them are available. You have a create user with email password. This handles the sign up. This handles the login with the sign in with email and password, and you can differentiate. And then you can have sign up function, and also you can get current user, which comes in handy over here because I want to make sure that the stats are attached to a user when I'm creating the database. Um, you can get your current user and then get his unique ID, and then save update stats, create a reference to the stats collection. You have to always reference the users first, the collection of users, and then the collection of stats, and then you get to the collection of entries. Uh, and then see where the entry exists. And it's all in descending order of time. If it's not empty, then we just update stats. Otherwise, we add a new stats collection. So the timestamp in the stats. So it just goes through this is basically goes through all the stats. I'm adding each of them. And then we get the stats over here. This get stats stream query snapshot. It acts as a query and then gets a snapshot of it. Now saved users ID and all. Then just return stream ID. And reference the same way you create it. You have to reference it the same way. But instead you get snapshots now. And then if you want to delete, you have to pass in the sport and the stat ID in order to get the exact stats you want to delete. Yeah. User ID, sport, collection entries, referenced by the stat ID, and called .delete function. Now that is pretty much it. Using Firebase is nice. Once you figure it out, I was a struggle figuring it out. Once you figure it out, it's pretty nice. You always have to start the emulator. You have to run the Firebase emulator start. I also added a script that allows me to make this emulator data thing. This is what allows me to save my data locally, even though I'm not actually using the cloud. And so you always want your emulator running, and then you call Flutter run. But that is pretty much it.